Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at Egypt Energy Show or Egypt's 2024. I'm delighted to have with me today sitting in the studio David Chi, Vice President of Apache Corporation and Country Manager for Apache in Egypt. Thank you, David, for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And to start off, can you tell us how is Apache helping invest and transform the energy sector in Egypt and beyond Africa?
Yes, so first of all, I think we need to acknowledge that access to energy is critical, not just for the people of Egypt, but also for its substantial and growing economy. And if you go and look at different researches and studies, I think it's very clear that the access to energy, doesn't matter in the form of energy consumption or energy production, has a very strong positive correlation with the well-being of people. You can look at different human development or economic development indicators. So we all know energy is very critical to any country. And to me, energy security, the foundation of energy security for any nation, is really built on its ability to produce energy domestically, but in the most reliable and affordable manner. So we as Apache, being the largest oil producer in country and also a leading natural gas producer, I think the way we can really help Egypt in terms of securing a better energy future is by doing what we do best, which is we need to continue to discover and recover resources in the most reliable and affordable manner. So the other thing I think we need to acknowledge is also energy industry is very complex. It's very capital intensive, and also it's very long-term in nature. So it's very important that you have the right framework to work in so the companies can continue to invest, which is essential to empower energy industry. So I'm very glad to say that under the vision of His Excellency Engineer Tariq Molla, the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, he has embarked on a vision of modernizing the oil and gas sector in Egypt, probably about 6-7 years ago. And under that framework, we were able to modernize, our concession agreement in Egypt, where, it's a win-win partnership and it removes some of the barriers and empowers us to continue to invest. I think with that, and also with our ability to bring innovation, to bring the right technology, to improve processes, but also to develop the workforce, of the future. I think all these elements will work together to help not just Egypt, but also, ourselves, Egypt, the country, and hopefully the region to have a better energy future.
That's a great point. And navigating the future of energy here in a place like Egypt and Africa is, of course, a very long-term journey. So can you talk to us about your recent successes and how you are investing in for the long term here in Egypt?
Yeah, so talk about what we define as success. I think it's important for me to talk about, what we in Apache believe in. So our mission is that we want to provide the energy the world needs in order to help human progress, but in the most reliable, the most affordable, but very critically, the most responsible manner. So with that, in terms of reliability of energy production, as you know, we work in the depletion business. So if you do not discover more stuff, if you do not recover in the most efficient way, your production is going to decline. But energy security relies on your ability to sustain and grow production. And so we have made a lot of success, especially since the new foundation of the concession agreement. So one, we continue to be able to invest in a substantial amount of capital in country. With that capital, that enables us to discover more and more stuff, which brings more production to contribute to the energy production that we have. But it's also very importantly that it's not just about new discoveries. Mm-hmm. We were also able to now go unlock. We are very proud, for example, by applying the right process, the right technology with a new framework, we revitalized one of the biggest oil fields that historically has been producing in the Western Desert in the Abu Gharabi Basin, and actually break new production record after 50 years of production. And that is very amazing in my eyes, and we are very proud of that. In terms of produce energy in an affordable manner, that really, the foundation of that is being able to make the right decisions, processes, and execute in the most efficient manner. So a critical part that we have done is actually we merged the two operated joint venture company that we co-own with EGPC, the national oil company. So we set up a new board, a new process to govern. And so with that framework, we are looking at all the details. How do we make decisions within the company? How do we execute? How do we have the right checks and balances, and how do we improve efficiency? So making everything more efficiently and focus on how to optimize, prioritize, and so then we can continue to make improvements. And that will be affordability. In terms of responsibility, we invest a lot in the social front. We have built, over 200 schools in Egypt, help educating more than 15,000 girls and young boys through in access to getting the right education so they can empower them for the future. But also for our own workforce, we continue to develop their capabilities so they can build a future foundation for energy production. One thing that's important that we need to touch on is we also continue to focus on minimize the environmental impact of our operations so we can produce in the most responsible manner. So I'm very happy with the progress we make, and I think we'll continue to make progress in all three fronts.
I think that's a brilliant point about not just growing your industries and capabilities, but also growing your community and addressing the energy trilemma in your own way. So that's great to hear. And one of the things with all that rapid growth in the background is how you're demonstrating your commitment to the environment and then protecting the environment and undertaking the journey of sustainability.
Yeah, so again, I like to go back to our mission because I think that's the foundation of any business. You need to have your belief. And we at Apache, we strongly believe that our mission is to provide the energy the world needs to progress, human society by producing them in the most responsible manner. Of course, also reliability and affordability, but responsibility is critical. So the approach that we take is kind of simple, but I think it's very effective. So we believe in not just doing the right things, which is produce energy in a responsible manner, but you have to be able to do things right. So what's the process that we actually utilize to get there? So first thing we do is we start by assessing our operation in its entirety. So then we can identify all the opportunities and then prioritize what are the biggest opportunities where we can see improvements. And then from there, we prioritize resources so that we can execute, hopefully, on a well-developed plan. And why is that important? Because then we can make as much progress as we can in the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
And then after that, we are not done yet. So what we need to do is you have to implement a process, an evergreen process, so you can monitor the progress you make. Make sure we do not retract ourselves. We need to sustain that, but also very critical is that we continue to identify new opportunities so that we can continue to improve. And I want to share that I'm very proud. We have been very successful in applying this process in the last few years. So I'll give you two examples.
Sure.
So the first example is what we have done in the United States. So 3 years ago, by applying this process, we were able to eliminate 100% of our routine flaring in country. And we have a substantial operation in the US. And in Egypt, coming back home for me, in Egypt, we have done many projects, and we are approaching, in the last 2 or 3 years, about 1 million tons of CO2 equivalent emission reduction.
Okay.
And these are not numbers that I say, hey, I'm going to achieve that in 10 years, in 20 years. These are things we have already done and achieved in the last few years. Right. So in addition to that, given the importance of ESG, we also link our compensation system from our colleagues to all the way to executives. All our compensation is linked to ESG goals because we know how critical it is, and we also believe in that. So that is part of our compensation system to make sure the whole company is aligned. What I can assure everybody is at Apache, we believe in ESG. We believe in produce energy in the most reliable, affordable, and responsible manner. And we'll continue to make progress, and we'll continue to do so.
I think responsible energy is one of the critical themes of Egypt's 2024 this year. So what are your impressions of Egypt's 2024? What are you showcasing in this newly rebranded show?
Yeah, the very strong impression that I have is we are making progress. And every year, Egypt just gets bigger and gets better. And I'm actually, I have been on the executive committee of Egypt since year one. So I can see with my own eyes how we started from a humble beginning. Now we have become one of the top energy shows in the world, I would say. And I really want to applaud, His Excellency Tarek Emola for his vision to see that the importance of building a platform where you can bring everybody in to exchange ideas, to forge partnerships for the better future for everybody, especially on the energy front. But also, I think that success is a reflection of what actually had happened in Egypt in oil and gas industry. Because of the progress that we have made under his vision in modernizing the sector, I think that attracts a lot of people to say, hey, let me come and see what happened in Egypt. How can they make that progress? So I think that's very important. I think he should be very proud of that. And then in terms of what we like to showcase, again, I think the most important thing in energy industry is the host country and the international investor had to partner in the right framework. I like to showcase Apache as an international investor coming into the country 30 years ago. We started from nothing, and we really built a very substantial, but also very successful business. And we have that in a sustainable manner for many decades, and I think that will be many decades to come. I think that's most important. Why? Because that is the foundation. Doesn't matter if you are in Egypt or you go to other countries. That partnership, that win-win mentality under the right leadership of the government and finding the right investor who can bring the right technology, the right process, have the right capacity, both financially and know-how. That's the win-win combination is what's foundation for that. But on top of that, also, we are very proud of a lot of things that our know-how, our success, our lessons learned around our operations globally, we like to share that with our colleagues because I think collaboration is the only way that we can all get better together.
David, it was such a pleasure hosting you here in the studio, and thanks for joining us today and for your fascinating insights. Wish you all the best for the rest of the show at EGYPES 24.
Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and we will be back with more studio interviews from EGYPES 2024. Stay tuned.